Canto 6, Chapter 1, The History of the Life of Ajamila, text number 22. Bandhyakshaihi kaitavaishcharyir garhitam vrittimasitaha bibrat kutumbam ashuchir yatayamasa dehinaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This fallen Brahmana, Ajamila, gave trouble to others by arresting them, by cheating them in gambling, or by directly plundering them. This was the way he earned his livelihood and maintained his wife and children. Purport. This verse indicates how degraded one becomes simply by indulging in illicit sex with a prostitute. Illicit sex is not possible with a chaste or aristocratic woman, but only with unchaste Shudras. The more society allows prostitution and illicit sex, the more impetus it gives to cheaters, thieves, plunderers, drunkards, and gamblers. Therefore, we first advise all disciples in our Krishna consciousness movement to avoid illicit sex, which is the beginning of all abominable life and which is followed by meat eating, gambling, and intoxication one after another. Of course, restraint is very difficult, but it is quite possible if one fully surrenders to Krishna. Since all these abominable habits gradually become Of course, restraint is very difficult, but it is quite possible if one fully surrenders to Krishna, since all these abominable habits gradually become distasteful for a Krishna-conscious person. If illicit sex is allowed to increase in a society, however, the entire society will be condemned, for it will be full of rogues, thieves, cheaters, and so forth. So in this chapter, the history of life of Ajamila, this narration of the Ajamila story has begun. Shukadev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, this real story is giving this an example. Chodaharantin mam, udaharanti is giving this an example of Ajamila to help us to become convinced that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, this process, Harir Nama process, is so powerful that it can vanquish any amount of sinful reactions that is stored within us. Not a single sinful reaction can stay within us if we take up this chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And to prove this philosophy, the example of Ajamila is being given. Ajamila just chanted one time Narayana, and immediately the Vishnudutas came to his rescue. So that is the power of one holy name. So if we chant every day, that's Prabhupada has given us 16 rounds to chant every day because we are not chanting of that quality. So to come to that quality, these 16 rounds are given to us, so we should be chanting it with full, firm faith, conviction, and belief in the statement that by chanting the holy names of Lord Krishna, I can become completely freed from all sinful reactions. So this story is now being narrated. So in this verse, the activities of Ajamila are mentioned. Ajamila was a very nice, pious Brahmana. He was worshipping the deities, chanting mantras, taking care of his aged parents, and he was doing everything very nicely as per the Vedic rules and regulation. But because of association with a prostitute, Asati, what he fell down? And he fell down from his position of being a rigid Brahmana, following all vows, to a position where he indulged in cheating people, he indulged in arresting people, he indulged in gambling, he was cheating in gambling, he was plundering them. This was the way he started living, because he had to earn a livelihood, and he gave up all his vows. So this is the way he earned his livelihood and maintained his wife and children. And here in the purport, Prabhupada is writing that this verse is indicating how degraded a person can become simply by indulging in illicit sex with a prostitute. Illicit sex is not possible with a chaste or aristocratic woman, but only with unchaste Shudras. And it starts with illicit sex. These are the 4 pillars of sinful life. It starts with illicit sex, and that leads, Prabhupada is right, in the purport it is written that our abominable life begins with illicit sex and is followed by meat eating, gambling, and intoxication, one after the other. That is why in our temples, this is the rule: if anybody wants to be a devotee who is genuinely wanting Krishna, then he has to give up these 4 pillars of sinful life: meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex. There is no place, even an iota of these things, if you want to really understand God and realize Him, understand His, the whole philosophy. These 4 have to be given up. So these 4 are called the 4 pillars of sinful life. And what is standing on these 4 pillars? There's a roof. On the 4 pillars, there's a roof, right? So that is called the roof. Prabhupada in one lecture, he's saying, so these 4 pillars of sinful life, we have to break it, so that the roof of sinful life will collapse. Unless this roof of sinful life collapses, we cannot take to Krishna consciousness. So of course, both things parallelly have to happen. Our endeavor to give this up and taking the positive methods of Krishna consciousness by engaging in Krishna's service, by chanting the holy names of Krishna, we can further get strength to give up these, to destroy these 4 pillars so that the roof of sinful life collapses. Because unless and until we give up these sinful thoughts and sinful actions, we can never understand God. Yesham tvanta gatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridha vrata. Yesham tvanta gatam papam. Papa means all the sinful. Papa means sins. Unless tvanta gatam papam, unless and until we put an end to all our sinful actions, and who can and we have some, and this can happen of course if we have some piety. Yesham tvanta gatam papam jananam punyakar te dvanda moha nirmukta. Unless we put an end to the sinful reactions, dvanda moha nirmukta, we cannot become free from the dvandva moha, from the dualities of illusion in this life, because we are dualities of illusion. What is right, what is wrong, this is good, that is bad. We cannot really come to a solid conclusion because we are all weak in mind, we are all weak spiritually. The sinful deeds make us weak because the weakness comes from impurity, and so Krishna is completely pure. Pavitram idam uttamam. So if we want to attain that pure Krishna, who is Pavitram idam uttamam, the greatest, the purest, we also have to become pure. Just like if something has to enter the fire, that something also has to be of fiery nature. A spark can enter into the fire. But if anything else which is not of the nature of fire enters the fire, it will get burnt. It will be destroyed. So they can't even enter the fire. So similarly, if we want to enter into the realm of real spiritual life, enter into Krishna consciousness, and enter into Krishna, into his abode, which is completely pure, we also have to become completely pure. The same quality has to be attained by us. Otherwise, we cannot understand Krishna. So, these are the 4 pillars of sinful life. And then we have the 4 pillars of dharma. Tapa, shaucham, daya, satyam. These are the 4 pillars that we have to build. These are the 4 pillars of dharma. And actually each of these 4 pillars, if the pillar of dharma is not there, Tapa, Shaucham, Daya, Satyam. Tapa means austerity. Tapa, Satyam. Satyam means truthfulness. Shaucham means cleanliness. Daya means compassion. And Satyam means truthfulness. Unless and until... So these are the 4 pillars on which we build the roof of spiritual life. And stay protected under this roof. And engage in our Krishna conscious activities. So, in Kali Yuga, we know that these 4 pillars of dharma are destroyed. 25% only is remaining, and that is also further reducing. But in Satya Yuga, these 4 pillars of dharma were in its completeness, 100%. That is why Satya Yuga was called the Golden Age. And because these 4 pillars of dharma are not existing, Kali Yuga is called the Iron Age, or the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Golden Age, Iron Age. So, the Golden Age is a wonderful age. And that is why, and everything was very nice. There was all virtues, all values, everything was existing. So, if somebody asks us between these 2 ages, Golden Age and Iron Age, which age should be praised? Which age should be worshipped? Which age should be glorified? It appears that yes, Satya Yuga should be worshipped, praised, glorified, because that's a golden age. But Bhagavatam is saying, Kali Yuga, which is the Iron Age, the most fallen age, the most degraded age, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the age where people are short-lived, the age where people are lazy, the age where people are unintelligent, misguided, this age should be worshipped. This age should be praised. This age should be glorified. It's very striking. So Bhagavatam says, and so why? Kalim sabhajayati arya. Kalim, Arya means those who are intelligent people. Sabhajayati means glorify, praise, worship. Sabhajayati. So the intelligent people, Sabhajayati, they worship and glorify Kalim, not Satyuga. Why? Gunagnaha, gnana, gunagyana. Because they are aware, they are conscious, they are intelligent. They have the knowledge, jnana, they have the knowledge of one very special guna in Kali Yuga, guna which is not there in Satya Yuga. Gunagnaha sarabhaginaha. And this Arya, what kind of intelligent people are they? You're saying very intelligent. What kind of intelligent people? They are sarabhaginaha. They are that kind of intelligent people who are interested in only knowing the essence of life. They are not interested in many things. The material world is full of so many things, but our life is short and we have a small intelligence and limited time. So we should all be, and everybody is actually looking for what is the best. Everybody is looking for the best. You're not interested with, so many things. Essence. So Sarabhagina, the real essence these people, intelligent people are after, and they know that the real essence is available in Kali Yuga. And what is that essence? Yatra sankirtaneva. And that essence is yatra. If anybody is engaged in performing sankirtana, yatra sankirtananyeva, if we do this, then sarva swartha abhilabdhyate. Yatra sankirtananeva sarva swartha abhilabdhyate. You can, sarva swartha, you can attain, because to give up these 4 pillars of sinful life is not so easy. It's very difficult. First of all, the age is fallen. Situation is so not at all conducive for practicing spiritual, for practicing these 4, to give up these 4 things. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Just like you see, Brahmana, he was a Brahmana. He was such a nice person, Ajamila. But just came in contact. He just went and he just saw for a second, for a few seconds, he saw a prostitute embracing a young man and a young woman embracing and singing and smiling and all these things. His mind got disturbed. So the age is very difficult. But in this very difficult age, it is not very difficult to practice Krishna consciousness. It is not very difficult to practice the simple process of chanting the holy names of Krishna. That is the benefit. So this is the Sara Bhagina. Yatra Sankirtananyeva Sarva Swartha Bilabhyate. All your desires, Sarva Swartha, Swartha means desires, or wishes. Abhilabhyate, you can attain all your desires. So you want to give up meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex? Yes, you can attain it simply by chanting the holy names of Krishna. Otherwise, that is impossible. We all know that in this age, without chanting, it is impossible to give up the tendencies of illicit sex. It is impossible because the forces within the body are so strong. And only a higher force can subdue this. And that higher force is Krishna consciousness. So, and then the next verse, it further says, Nahi ataha paramo labho. Nahi ataha paramo labho. You want a better, we are all looking for some labha in this material world. Everybody is looking after labha. We are also looking after labha. So it says in the Bhagavatam, Nahi ataha parama labha, a bigger gain. Nahi ataha parama labha dehinam bhramyatam hya. For this embodied soul, it does not exist. Yato Vindeta, and if you take to this chanting of the holy names of Krishna, what will happen? Yato Vindeta Paramam Shantim Nashyati Samshritihi. We will attain supreme, not just Shanti, yet Paramam Shantim. We will attain supreme peace and Nashyati Samshritihi. Samshritihi means this material existence of all the different kinds of kleshas and all these vices, the different sinful tendencies, nashyati, will be destroyed. So that is the benefit of this chanting of the holy name. So here it is further mentioned about the chastity. Because that lady, that she was an unchaste woman, is why, a prostitute, is why Ajamila, also got fully, he became degraded. The more society allows these kind of activities, prostitution, illicit sex, the more impetus it gives to cheaters, thieves, plunderers, drunkards, and gamblers. This was a similar argument that Arjuna, he gave one of the reasons for not fighting. Adharma bhibavat Krishna pradyushyanti kulastriyaha. He was telling Krishna that if I engage in this war, the result will be many people will die. And they all have their wives, their children, their family members back at home. And the male members are the one who are supposed to protect the society, who are supposed to see that there is religion. So if the male members are not there, then the women, pradyushyanti kulastriyaha, the women will get polluted. So it's very important for the protection of society that everybody is available, so we don't indulge in war, so that there is chastity. And with chastity, with good chastity comes good population. Prabhupada is writing, good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. Good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and progress in life. So if you want these things, peace, prosperity, and progress in life, it's very important that we have good population. And for good population, there should be chastity. This is one story that we are having, Ajamila and this woman. Ajamila is a Brahmana. There's another story like this in the Markandeya Purana, where there was one Brahmana, and he was a leper. He had leprosy. And he also somehow developed this kind of a sinful desire of having the association of another prostitute. So, but his wife, the story is mentioned to tell us what kind of chastity was followed in the past. Women would be so chaste that just by that strength of their chastity, chastity means only for their husband, only for serving their husband and nothing else. Like other women mean an unchaste, asati, an unchaste woman means she will go to many men. But no, chaste woman only stays with the husband. And she will only, Prabhupada is giving this example, this story to tell how we should be fully firm in our service to Krishna. Just like a chaste woman is always fixed up in service to Krishna, in service to the husband. That is chastity. She will not serve anyone else, any other man. She will only serve her husband. That is chastity. She will never desert, she will never give up her. There have been cases where, in the past, where, after marriage, somehow the husband, has, lost all his wealth, has become very poverty stricken and is not able to earn and is not having even food to eat. But women will always be, the women will always be with their husbands, because they know that no matter, my husband may be in a difficult situation, but I am not going to leave him. For life, I am going to stay with him. So that is chastity. So this story, this husband somehow developed this sinful desire to go and associate with another woman. So his wife was so chaste, she was fixed upon serving the husband. So the wife saw that somehow the husband has developed this desire, and as a wife I must serve. So she goes to that prostitute's house and she starts serving the prostitute. Very humble, menial services she does for the prostitute, just to attract the attention of the prostitute. And then the prostitute is pleased by this woman's service, and she says, "You're serving me so nicely, I didn't even ask for your service, and you're coming and serving me. Okay, what can I do for you?" So this lady says that, this somehow my husband has gotten this desire, can you please satisfy her desire? So she was quite puzzled, the prostitute. She says, "Okay, if that is what your wish is, I will do it." So this lady, the wife, she goes and tells the husband, "Yes, I have made an arrangement, so please come with me, I will take you. And you can spend one night with her." So the husband says, "Oh, really? Fine." So husband goes, but on the way, the husband realizes what a big mistake he's doing. He sees that he thinks that my wife is so chaste that she's ready to serve me to any extent, she's living just for me. She's so devoted to me. So I cannot do this. And he gave up that sinful idea of associating with the prostitute, thinking about the good quality of his wife and the devotion and chastity of his wife. So you see, this wife, because she was so chaste, she could make her husband change his sinful desire altogether. That is the power of chastity. And then later the story continues, when they were returning back, because they were returning back, this person, because of course he did not indulge in it, but still he was a sinful person, because in his mind he had all these thoughts just recently. So on his way back, when he was walking, he happened to touch Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi was doing his tapasya on the forest path, and while they were returning, he happened to touch. So Markandeya Rishi got very angry. "You sinful man, you touched me. I will curse you that you will die tomorrow before sunrise." So he curses him like that. And then this wife was very worried. "Oh my God, my husband, I'm living for my husband. We are, and she was so devoted. So because it is said that when a woman is very chaste, she becomes very powerful spiritually, internally. So because of her chastity, because of her devotion, she was very powerful, and she took a vow that tomorrow my husband has received a curse that he's going to die at sunrise. I take a vow that I'm going to stop the sunrise." Just imagine. She takes a vow like this because it shows that how powerful I am going to serve my husband till my life. I have devoted my life. I've dedicated my life for I'm going to protect him at all cost. There'll be no sunrise tomorrow. So seeing her determination, seeing her chastity and seeing her determination and seeing her devotion for service to her husband, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva come there, grant her darshan and says, do not worry, we are very pleased with your chastity, we are very pleased with your devotion, your service to Krishna, service to your husband. So you can't stop sunrise. Do not worry, we grant you two boons. One, your husband will not die, he will come back to life. And two, your husband will be cured of all his disease. He was a leper, he got cured of his leprosy. Just imagine, all this happened because of the wife's chastity. So this is good population, and this is when there's good population, there will be peace, prosperity and progress in spiritual life. Otherwise not. So here it is mentioned asati means this woman. Now there's another kind of a prostitution that Prabhupada talks about. One is this direct thing, but the other is jivva sati. In the Nectar of Instruction it is mentioned. Jivva, this jivva asati. So this is called the tongue prostitution. In that example, Prabhupada concludes that example by saying, just like the wife was so devoted to serving the husband, in the same way, we should be fully devoted. Chaste person means he is fully devoted to serving the Supreme Lord. Because for the wife, the husband is the master. So for every soul, for every human being, Krishna is the master. Mamaivamsha jiva loke. Krishna is the master. So our life, just like the life of the wife is dedicated towards service for his husband, the life of a devotee is dedicated towards service for Krishna. And that service, sevan mukhehi jivvado, that service begins with the tongue. So tongue, if it is not engaged in serving the Lord, if it is doing something else, then jivva sati. Jivva is not sati, it is asati. The jivva is becoming a prostitute, because with the tongue we should be engaged. What are the activities of the tongue? Talking and tasting. So we should be tasting Krishna Prasadam, and we should be talking about God or chanting His holy name. Then the jivva is rightly situated. Otherwise, as the example says, just like the example of the frog and the snake, the frogs, they simply, with their tongues, they simply croak. Croaking of the frogs is compared to be just simply speaking something, some nonsense. The croaking of the frogs doesn't mean anything, rather because they are simply croaking. What happens to the frogs? The snakes hear the frog sound and the snakes come and eat the frog. So the frog is losing his life because of simply speaking things, material things. Because of simply speaking, some croak, simply they'll be croaking. So and it's losing its life because of that. So similarly, if we want to utilize this life properly, if we want to make a solution to all problems in this life, we should be very careful that with this tongue that God has given us, we engage this tongue only in talking about Krishna, glorifying Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, preaching about Krishna, and nothing else, and only tasting Krishna Prasadam. That is what should be done. So here, further it is said that it is quite possible if one fully, of course, restrain is very difficult. That means restraining from meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex is very difficult. Restraint is very difficult, but it is quite possible if one fully surrenders to Krishna, since all these abominable habits gradually become distasteful for a Krishna conscious person. So why do we engage in these sinful acts? Because we are finding some taste in it. So, if we have to stop it, artificially stopping it is one way. It will not work. It will just work for a short while. Because, so if we have to stop it, we have to cultivate a higher taste. We have to give up this lower taste. And that higher taste is Krishna consciousness. Just like the example is given, suppose you're very, very hungry and you've not eaten for 2 full days. Imagine how hungry we will be if you have not eaten for 2 full days. And after the end of the, in the third day morning, if you're offered a plate of dry roti, some little bit of salt and some chutney, that's all. You will love it. That dry roti and chutney will be very tasty actually. And if somebody tells you to give up that, somebody tells you, you're eating this dry roti and chutney and salt, this is not, and that also dry, please give it up. Don't eat this. Will you give up that plate? You won't give up that plate, because although it is just dry roti and chutney, it is very tasty after 2 days of fasting. You'll grab it. But then if somebody tells you, okay, I will give you, if he offers you a plate of Rajbhog, samosa, gulab jamun, jalebi, imarti, ice cream, milkshake, paneer sabji, paratha, puri, all these wonderful things. And he just tells you, he just shows you this plate, even without him asking to give up that plate of dry chapati and chutney, you will give it up. Even without asking. See, that is the power of developing, cultivating a higher taste. So, we should be firmly convinced, have full faith that this name, chanting of the holy name of Krishna, can give us so much of pleasure, that all material pleasures, the highest material pleasure, illicit sex, will become insignificant, like a straw on the street. That is what this holy name can give us. That is why Rupa Goswami is praying that when I am chanting the holy name, I am feeling that 1 tongue and 2 ears are insufficient. I want millions of tongues and billions of ears. Then I will be able to relish what this chanting is and what this hearing the chanting is. That is the taste that we get. So this should be the faith, this should be the conviction that we should have, that if I engage in the simple process of devotional service, Sara Bhaginaha, Gunagnaha, this is the guna, this is the real value, and this is the essence. Just by this, I can overcome any problem, I can overcome any sinful tendency, I can put an end to it completely, and I can really be very, very, very happy. And I can, in that happy state, I can eternally be serving Krishna, which is the goal of life. So we'll end here. Granthara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanand.
Hare Krishna. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss any updates.